Blessing, good afternoon to each and every one. Well, welcome to Atlantic Studio. Welcome to Dougla Radio, and welcome back. Welcome back each and every one, our viewers, our listeners, those who comment positively, those who comment negatively. We of course accommodate you too, because we know once you are on the program and you make your comments, we know that of course something touching your spirit in order for you to make such comments. So we appreciate those who, sometimes I hear people say you don't belong here, but I want to say everybody belong here. Come and listen, come and learn, and come and see what is happening to this country as a result of your biased thinking, your biased comments, and your biased behavior. One section of it. I want to say, first of all, there was a lot of activities taking place. Of course, we were not here on schedule. We were not here on time. We were not here at all, a matter of fact. And this has had to do with the number of activities that happening as we speak. The UNC right now, we are into executive election. We are also in preparation for local government or general election, which one, either or. And of course, my job being the coordinator in Brea was to ensure that these things put in place. We have put forward a team of individuals who express their willingness to serve at the executive level of the United National Congress constituency, and we have submitted our team before the close of nomination, and we will see how that go as it relates to who would be the individuals who will look after the executive and its function from the constituency standpoint. Although I was also charged with the responsibility of ensuring that in Brea, the Brighton Vestany, the Palo Seco, the Erin electoral districts, that we have people who are willing to serve in those districts, and they have since expressed their willingness. And so they would be filing their nomination. They will be filing their nomination also before the deadline on Friday, to ensure that they face the screening committee, who will then decide the suitable and best candidate to represent the United National Congress from the local level. And we look forward to that. We have some young prospects. They are willing, they are excited, and they are ready to face the screening committee. They are ready to face any challenges that may occur. So they have made themselves available, and they will be, as I said before, filing their nomination before the close, which is Friday. In relation to Dougla politics, Senator Anil, the Honorable Roberts, was supposed to be here tomorrow, please God, to conduct the Dougla politics. However, I know for a fact that you folks know that the senator has a condition. He suffers with asthma, and sometimes these things do act up at times that may very well be inconvenient, but it's not something that you really have a say over as to when it chooses to act. So at this time, he is going through that phase, and he is using his medication, and we want to wish him a speedy recovery. And I am saying this based on how we feel throughout this couple of days. Then he would be here on Saturday if his health permit. So I want to apologize. I know that there was a certain amount of ads that went out informing you that Dougla politics will begin tomorrow. I want to take the opportunity at the same time to tell you, well, it's your Independence Day. I will not issue any happy independence to you, because from where I sit, I see no reason, I see nothing to be happy about. All I am seeing in this country is chaos, more chaos, endless chaos, and it seems that those who are charged with the responsibility to man the country, it seems as though they have now put their hands up in the air, surrendering to the elements. And here is why I really want to start and kick off the program.
Well, before you start, Victor, I was hearing you talking about the local government nomination process. You spoke about Brea. Is that happening in all local government seats across?
Well, of course, it's a national thing that is happening in terms of every constituency, because the leader have since put in place on, I think it was a couple Monday night platform ago, where she indicated that all seats would be vacant, and she has given the mandate to those who want to serve throughout the length and breadth of this country should put their nomination, follow the criteria, follow the process, and put their nomination in. So, of course, it will be in Siparia, Penal, San Fernando, all the areas. Every area, all seats will be vacant, and those who are interested in serving, now is your opportunity to put your nomination in, remembering that the deadline is Friday.
And you was also speaking that there is some sort of deadline, or the deadline for people who wish to serve on the constituency executives. You said those elections are coming up very soon?
Right. So what is happening is that process in terms of the executive, that process closed last Friday. That process closed last Friday at 4 p.m. That was the deadline to put your nomination in to serve from the constituency standpoint on the executive. So that has closed, and I know for a fact that election should be carded for sometime in September, and we would expect all the members of the various constituencies to come out and cast their vote in relation to those who you have so selected to run the affairs of the constituency.
Now, this coming up election, there's always this complaint that people not seeing their name on the list. What you suggest they do, because between now and that election, I suppose they could call the office to find out if their name was on the list, and I think there's still a period of time within which they could still register to vote. Or is that cutoff period passed?
Right. So in terms of the registration, I know that, as you said, they could call the office, but what I know is ongoing. There's an ongoing process trying to get those who are registered on the list. We know for the last executive election, we had that issue where people who filled out their party registration form, they could not have find their name on the list. As a matter of fact, I have took some people from the Parasico N, Erin N, and so on, and they went to cast their vote, and when they reached, the name were not there.
But sometimes the name is on the UNC list, but it is not in the constituency in which they show up. So if they call the head office now, the head office will say, well, your vote is in X constituency, so they will still be able to vote in the constituency elections. But I'm wondering, well, I'm not sure about this, whether they call and they say, let's say this person wants to vote in Labrie, and they call your office and say, well, yes, your name is on the list, but you registered to vote in San Fernando, maybe because they will live in San Fernando. Do they still have time to change their registration area?
Well, I will definitely try to source some information on that, because it crossed my mind now as you raised the point, because I know for a fact that there's an individual that lives in Quarry. Eventually, that individual was living down in Santa Flora. And what happened, since the person moved to Quarry, that section, while it may fall, not may, but while it falls under the district of Palo Seco, for the general election, that area fall under Siparia, because the boundary...
Right, so if that person come to vote in Labrie internal elections, they will tell them they cannot vote here, they have to vote in Siparia.
Right, so the person, a matter of fact, when I spoke to the person recently, they said that they went to Labrie to vote in the executive election.
Yes.
And the name was not there, but fortunate enough, a call was made and they had to go Faizabad to vote.
Okay, so now I'm asking some of these questions because, you know, we want people to come out and serve the party.
Yeah.
And you're saying, well, the constituency election is closed, but I know after the constituency elections, we have a lot of party groups that is going to be formed.
Yeah.
People could still volunteer to serve at a party group.
Of course.
Right, and I guess after, should you be successful in taking executiveship of the Labrie, I guess you'd be moving next to be forming party groups.
Well, of course, the cat is out the bag, so to speak, and what Archie just said to you is that I have filed my nomination for the chairman position in the Labrie constituency. So hopefully all goes well, and of course what we intend to do in Labrie. But I want to say this, Archie, when I went for screening for the general election in 2020, I said to the honorable political leader and the team that I intend to cast a pillar in Labrie. And I echo that by saying what we have seen in Labrie over the years is that every time an election comes about, we put down a tent. And as the election results came out, we packed that tent up, and that's the end of Labrie until another election comes around. And at the screening, I said to the leader and the team that if I am successful, I intend to cast a pillar in Labrie. And that promise is what I am going to fulfill. So the pillar that I'm speaking about is not necessarily just being me, but the pillar I'm speaking about is to have this continuous presence in Labrie under the umbrella of the United National Congress. Have this pillar where we will continue to fight as a unit in Labrie and not just when an election call or activity. So we are going to look through the Constitution and we are going to put every constitutional aspect of the party into the constituency of Labrie. So we intend to set up every position from youth to women's to everything. We're going to put in place. We're going to put party groups in place throughout the length and breadth of Labrie. Matter of fact, we are already on a membership drive in Labrie. And so far, I single-handedly were able to make 82 members so far in the constituency of Labrie and counting. So I am on a membership drive, and of course, the executive, which I intend to lead, we will be going on a holistic membership drive throughout the length and breadth of Labre, and we are going to find people, allowing them to become members of the party where they will be active. We intend to do a lot of projects in Labre. We intend to bring a serious youth arm in Labre, have the youths and them understanding that the responsibility to go forward in this country belongs to them. We intend to have
You know, a lot of people just talk like that, but I wondering if you could, just let some more cats out of the bag. So what are some visions or ideas you think that you could do in Labre to excite the minds of people in Labre to the UNC?
Right. So to excite the people in Labre, first of all, I spoke to somebody today quite in Santa Cruz, and there's a lot of individual who willing to come to Labre to share their expertise. This individual is a craftsman, and he's willing to come to Labre where we could set up a shop, and I think you know the shop that we will be setting up very soon.
Yes.
And we will also utilize there. We also have an individual from Pinal who is one of the best roti maker in the country. And this individual is also willing to come into the constituency of Labre, where he will conduct a course where we will have a batch of 10 people at any given time who willing to learn to understand the formation in relation to getting the preparation done for this. We also intend to I am having discussions right now with somebody who would also be on the executive. I will leave his name for now. And that individual, we are proposing to set up a football league in Labre. And this football league will entail the whole of Labre. This will not just be a Santa Fe Palo Seco Erin Football League. We want to intermingle. We want to get a team from Labre, a team from Vance River, a team from Rosilac, a team from Palo Seco, a team from Erin, a team from
Monday Zero.
Yeah, Monday Z. All these areas. And what we're going to do, we're going to put this, and we'll have this tournament play throughout the constituency. By doing so, we will be able to highlight our mission. We will be able to highlight what we are about, because we are not just about fulfilling the demands within the political arena. We also intend to fulfill. Let's take it. We'll take it and come back. Welcome, caller.
Hello, good night, Mr. Robert.
Good night. Welcome.
Well, I had to tell you, welcome back. What about Sahina Makers, boy? You know that yours truly is the number one. You understand? But we go talk about that later. Listen to me.
Well, we welcome that, you know. Don't.
Tomato choka too, you know.
Palo Seco is a dashing bush area too, you know. It's not only Rio Claro.
All right. Well, if it's a dashing bush area, they know about dashing, and you know the dashing came from South Asia, and it is called taro. So I is a good provision man too, you know.
Right.
So don't feel nothing, but let me extend Happy Independence Day to all citizens of Trinidad and Tobago. And I want to particularly give my wishes to the really constituent minority who use the cowshed to make a difference in this country. And to everyone, Happy Independence Day. And I want to offer the vaccine the same thing too. I see cowpox coming, chickenpox coming, and the mismanagement of COVID making a clapback on the way. So let me enjoy your program. I ain't gonna call you back on Arazi again. Take care and good night.
All right, my brother. Thanks for the call, and we will talk that Sahina. We will talk that Sahina course. Don't worry. We up for that. Right. So we intend to do a lot of activities in Labre. So coming out of this football, we want to also be able to set up. We have some individuals who are also willing to come into the area and teach drama, right? We will also welcome that. We are also planning, we had this before under a different forum, but we are also planning it again, to get the youths back into the sound system business. So how we do that is that we put together a song clash, and we will have youths from different different areas will come and showcase. We also set up.
Yeah, them youths don't like to listen to talk and talk and talk, you know. So you have to get them in somehow and then talk.
Yeah. And then of course we also have our community thing going on. There's a community tent in Palo Seco also that we utilize.
That come in carnival time, sure.
Well, not only carnival time, we're going to be utilizing that because we have a set of youths who have some talent in terms of singing. They put lyrics together and they're good. So we even want to, these are some of the things that we will want to bring to the library, where we could set up a good recording studio where we could have these youths and them come in from an amateur standpoint and do their thing and start to put it out there, and hopefully somebody will be recognized, somebody may get an opportunity to go somewhere, somebody will get an opportunity to do some kind of recording and allow the youths, because the problem in this country is that I am seeing Foster Cummins as an enemy to the youths. That is what I'm seeing. Because when you speak about youth affair, when you speak about youth development doesn't come by $4.4 million in a credit union. Youth development doesn't come by grabbing lands from Caroni 1975 Limited. Youth development doesn't come by a special branch report which is alleging your involvement with gangs and so on. Youth development doesn't come there. Youth development will come when you have somebody with, first of all, who character is without blemish.
Yeah, but I just see him dancing and singing in church.
Yeah, well, he could afford to dance and sing in church because up to today, I hear the church and them talking about the pedophile and the children and them that been abused, you know, while in the same book that they read in the church will tell you that they ought to defend the children. They ain't doing that. They defending the dollars. So we go deal with them later on. But when you look at youth development is a holistic plan. It will in terms education, it in terms the social aspect, it entails sport, it entails every aspect. And this is what we want to bring to library. We want library to understand what is youth development, not by words or by a position, but by action. So we want to have an action-packed plan for library to help develop the young people to turn away from the road that we are on. Because I will tell you something, we are heading in library as we speak, we are heading in a bad place. We have had serious shootings in library. Neighboring areas like Faizabad and Siparia, Point 14. I mean, just a couple of days ago, we had a murder in Point 14. So it is a trend that in the absence of productivity, in the absence of proper strategic planning, in the absence of something tangible for the youths to hold on to, they will hold on to what Rowley and the Prime Minister of Jamaica was speaking about. They will hold on to the guns. And this is what we have to change. And in order to do that, actually, we have to nip it in the bud. It's not about just talking, standing up on a podium and talk, and we have this and we allocate this and we had that, and to the end of the day, how much millions of dollars were allocated for youth development? But which part of the youth development in this country? I would like somebody to tell me what aspect of youth development taking place in this country right now. I could tell you.
Bandits.
That is what is developing. Because let's just go back to the 50% are children who make below the grades. What is there to really attract these children to go back into the educational system? Apart from this joke that they put out here, this vocational school and 2,100 people register and so on and so on. What is really there? What is the government really doing from a holistic standpoint to get these people back into the educational system and have them to become viable, where they could become entrepreneurs or get serious employment and so on in the country? It is only talk. We will hear the talking, and that's all we get.
Yeah, but Victor, usually when campaigning starts, like let's just say Brea, the normal thing is for people to go down into these constituencies and say, we building a plywood factory,
right,
we building this, right? They come to tell the people what they're going to do. What's your approach down in Brea? And what things you could see, what could you do to really get a buy-in from the people in Brea? Because this promises thing can't work anymore.
Very good question. Very, very good question. So, back in 2020, when I started the campaign, everybody in Brea question is, Mr. Roberts, what you're going to do for us? Tell us what you're going to do for us. And my answer shocked the whole of Brea. I say, what I'm going to do for y'all? Absolutely nothing. I'm answering, but you have to be a madman. You come here to ask me to vote for you, and we asking you what you're going to do for we. What is your plan? And you tell we nothing. I say, good. So let we have a discussion now. Are you up for that? They say, well, yes, we want to hear what you have to say. I say, how many years politicians came to Brea and make several promises? They say all politicians promise. I say, so my question to you folks now is to show me one promise that the politician keep. Nobody can answer. I say, so let me tell you how I propose to handle your affair in Brea. I propose to handle the affairs in Brea, and I'm saying that this today because that philosophy continues. I propose to handle the affairs in Brea by the people of Brea coming together and deciding what is best for Brea. Let me just break that down. I could come to Brea and say, look, I propose to build a basketball court on the pitch lake. My question is, Brea needs that basketball court on the pitch lake? And the answer to that is no. The first thing that Brea needs from where I sit is employment. So we have to be able to create small and long-term employment in Brea. How we propose to do this? We propose to do this, first of all, by utilizing the people of Brea to conduct the remedial works within Brea. For instance, we have a problem in Brea proper where high roads and other areas where pitch continue to pop up here, there, and everywhere. One of the solutions for that problem is that we could put a road maintenance gang in Brea. We could have people trained in Brea to operate small machinery. So, for instance, when these pitch veins swell at any given time, we could have as easy as a mini excavator or a bobcat or a D6. And we could have this based in Brea, that every time the pitch rise, they will continue to cut and maintain and have the roads in a condition that the motorists will be pleased with. It don't take no rocket science to do these things. We also propose even the same short-term URP and all these little CPEP jobs and so on. Like the PNM, you like the UNC, you don't like nobody, whatever employment come to Labre, the people of Labre must benefit. While we educate you, while we help you to understand, look, voting have consequences, and why you must make a decision, an informed decision, before you vote. That is our job. So, long term, we could look at Labre as a place that produce mangoes, cashews, and other stuff. We could set up as simple as it is a preservative factory in Labre. We could utilize that factory, outfit it properly. Have the people from Labre, the same man on the road who will go and pick mango and sell it by the road. His job still remains. He pick the mango, he sell it to the factory. We will have people employed who have to prepare these mangoes, who will have to wash them, make sure they reach the standard of health, safety, have them prepared. We will have to have some sort of machinery to cut these mangoes. Somebody has to operate that. We will have the different aspect of packaging and putting these things together. We could market these things from throughout the Caribbean, and we could even market it on the international market, which will even bring back US money to Labre, because we have people who come from America, Canada, and other places who come Trinidad, and when they're going back, they're looking for that preservative anywhere to take back with them. So there's a lot of plan that we could implement in Labre to have Labre sustain itself. We could.
Labre is one of the constituencies. Yeah, Labre is one of the constituencies that borders both oceans. I think one side you're bordered by the Gulf of Paria.
We have the Columbus Channel on one side, and we have the Gulf of Paria on the other side. Yeah. So we are water right wrong. But added to that, there is a lot of infrastructure that could come to Labre. Labre have a natural deep water harbor that we hear people boast about that is underutilized. We have had Station Beach in Labre where ships from all over the world would have come to take the asphalt from Labre, the pitch from Labre, to other parts of the international community to be utilized. We have many industries that can be set up in Labre, managed properly, and Labre could be self-sufficient. Labre sustained this economy. We sustained this economy out of Labre Point, Faizabad. Those was the days where we were in the center of the oil boom. A matter of fact, actually, if you do your history well, you will understand that the first oil well that was ever drilled in this country was drilled in Labre.
Well, I was surprised watching a geological map that at least half of the oil wells in Trinidad is in the constituency of Labre.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So there's a lot of activities that we could put together. So Labre people, we are visionaries. And in order to really run Labre, it's not about our government coming and tell, hey, we're going to build a plywood factory. Hey, we're going to put on a port. Rowley come the last election, they put a big billboard about a few weeks before the election. One big billboard Point Door Junction. I passed the before yesterday as well, all the canvas come off of it. And they outline a port and they tell us that, look, we are already signed memorandum of understanding with China. And if you allow Labre to lose the election, you could say bye-bye to the port. Well, Labre and the PNM win the election and it's still bye-bye to the port. It is not one shred of preparation for that port that was supposed to start since in 2020 according to the government.
Now, the highway that was being built when the UNC was in power, that hasn't reached the Labre or Labre isn't being serviced by that highway. How did that affect, commuting from Labre?
Well, we have seen a number of not only negligence, but mismanagement, a lack of planning in relation to the completion of this highway by this regime. Labre as we speak, Labre as we speak, continues to suffer. This highway that basically, we could say basically in somewhat partially down to the Vestany area. That is where it is at this point in time, just opposite Namarco, set of equipment and so on. But to the end of the day, this government mismanaged the whole plan of this highway, because this highway, according to the plan under the partnership, this highway is supposed to be completed long time, finished, completed, people benefiting, money making, and things happening. But of course, as we speak, I really don't know what's going on with this highway as we speak. But what I could tell you is that Labre continues to suffer under this government that Labre support for over 50 years. Well, I could call it 45, because 86 NAR took it. Other than that, it's PNM, and more PNM. And it's pressure, promise, more promise, and more pressure. So I am hoping that the young people in Labre, in the constituency of Labre, will utilize common sense, will utilize what they have seen in relation to the policies between 2010 and 2015, and make an informed decision to remove the PNM from Labre. Because my question to Labre is, what do you have to lose? You have already lose everything under the PNM. You have nothing in Labre under the PNM. All you have in Labre is promises. The natural resources that exist in Labre, I think some people believe that that is existing because the PNM. That is existing because of God, the Creator. Labre have never benefited from the government that they support. And that's a fact. And if you don't believe me, anybody, even the people in Labre, I believe probably they get so comfortable living without nothing that they continue to support nothing to live without. That is what I think. Because I could never understand why are people who have not benefited from their own resources by the people who they put in place to administrate, to manage, and to ensure that development comes to the area out of where the resources came from, living in this condition and still speaking PNM. I can't see it. That is not natural. That could never be natural. That is not a curse. That is bewitched to the highest form. Because a child in a home, Archie, supports the home when there is some level of good treatment. So let me break that down for those who didn't understand. You have a child at your home and you punish that child every day, leave it without food, beat it every time you get an opportunity, and you see if that same child, which is your child, will have any love or any support for you in that same home. But you know, unfortunately, It seems as though the more the PNM beat Labray, punish them, and treat them badly, is the more they vote PNM. That is not a curse, that is bewitched. That is something that is beyond anyone imagination. You cannot, you should not behave and support a party that treats you like dirt. Archie, I don't know how good you know Labray. I know you was down there for a couple of the cooks. Right. But when you look at Labray, one of my colleagues, I think you met him last night, who came to Trinidad a couple days now. And look, he said, Victor, I am sick at what I'm seeing, but he's a Trinidadian, you know. He is a Trinidadian. He said, but I'm sick to see the condition of the place. How can these people live in this condition and still support the people who have them in that condition? I heard the leaders spoke last night about when they get into government, the percentage of water in the taps was something like about 17%.
When she left, it was
7%.
And it's not just she saying that. Remember, that came out in a parliamentary
report.
No, the parliamentary report, yes, where I forget the name of Parliamentary Accounts Committee was admitted that.
Yeah. I remember Anil was doing some questioning in that committee too.
Yes.
But the point I'm making, today, you probably have about 2% in your tap in Labray. If not 1. But how could you...
CPO gain water down there, right?
But how could you support that? What logistics could you utilize?
But Victor, all what you're talking about there, wouldn't you be coming up against that facing the people of Labray?
Won't I?
The same thing you're talking about, that they're taking licks and they're still going back to vote the PNM. You have to come up with some strategy in Labray to try and open these people's eyes.
Well, I think I've been opening the eyes of these people for a few years now, not only on this program, but even on a personal level in Labray. I have friends in Labray who supported the PNM Archie. And they invite me a couple times on their programs. And they confess on the same program that Mr. Roberts, what you're saying is true. What you're saying is true. And we believe that if you do what you say, Labray could be a better place. But the question they were asking is, do you believe that you would be able to achieve what you're saying within the UNC? That is the question. And that question was very easy for me to answer. It is something that I said before, something that I will say now, something that is a part of me, and something that will stay with me. Is that with Victor Roberts, people comes before party. Without people, there is no party. That is one. Two. From what I have seen between 2010 and 2015, from what I have seen, give me no doubt, absolutely no doubt, to achieve the goals that the people of Labray desire, that it would be forthcoming under the UNC government. I could attest to that. I am certain about that. Sure as daylight. And that is one of the reasons that I keep telling people, don't be biased, don't be unfair. You know, it has some, let me use that illustration. We have a saying where, from old, when the fox didn't get the grapes, the fox said the grapes sour. You know that saying, actually?
Yeah.
Right. You cannot condemn UNC Library. You have the authority to condemn the PNM in Library. You know why? You have never given the UNC a chance in Library. So the PNM will jump to a defense and say, well, hey, the UNC was in government. And when we vote them in government, we vote them to manage the affairs of the whole country. Right? So let me break that up. First to begin, you can't tell me when we vote them into government, we vote them to manage the affairs of the whole country. Because to start with, you didn't vote them in Library. To start with. But that's not an excuse. But I just thought I should mention that. Secondly, I could, off the top of my head, call several projects that the partnership and the UNC under Basdeo Pandey did to the constituency of Library, even though Library did not support the UNC. I could call them to the top of my head. And not all, because I still don't know all, but I could call a great amount. So, you could condemn the PNM in Library. You cannot condemn the UNC in Library. You know when you could condemn the UNC? When you give UNC a chance in Library to represent you in government. That is the time. And I could guarantee you that if you give UNC a chance in Library to represent you, even under a PNM government, I am telling you that the PNM will have to deliver. That is how strong I feel about Library actually. If they give the UNC a chance in Library under a PNM government, I am saying that the PNM will have to deliver. That is how strong the former UNC candidate was and still remain. That is how strong. They will have to deliver. But Library have to first be willing to give themselves a chance. It come like the lottery. You can't win. I see plenty people get catched by some Nigerians. They have this thing where they calling you and tell you that you win a sweet steak. They have this thing that they're telling you your name come up with some Samsung raffle and you win how much £1,000,000 and you need to send the money, send so much and so much US for them to clear the taxes and send the money that you win. A man called me the other as well, brother, here we will do. We're doing this thing easy. Since I win 10 million pounds, how are we doing this? I want you to send $1 million to charity. I want you to take $1 million for yourself. I want you to give the government $1 million in tax. I want you to take next $1 million and send Nigeria to help any home that you want to help, once the home not abusing children. And whatever remain, send it down Trinidad. I say, share it up to the various homes in Trinidad. None of them were abusing children and getting a cent. I say, and we could work from there. Don't study me. He said, yes, we can do all that. But in order for it to happen, you need to send 3,500 US. And you need to send it before the deadline reach. I started to laugh. I said, Mr. Man, don't call back my phone. Don't call back my phone. And that reminds me of Library actually. People want things to happen in Library, but they're not willing to give another party a chance to prove itself and to show how they could get the job done. All they want us to do is to promise, come and tell you nice things. Well, we will develop Station Beach and we will bring it back as a tourist attraction. We will work on Vesely Beach. We will start the layout at the port, and we will do. That is what people want to hear. That is what they want to hear in Brea, and that is what they vote for over the years. Some things that sound good. I think there's a passage of scripture, if I'm not mistaken, somewhere in the book of Timothy, 2 Timothy chapter 2, I believe, which state that the Spirit speaketh, especially that in the latter times some shall depart from the faith, giving heed to seducing spirits and doctrine of devils. And it speaks about those who will be speaking lies with hypocrisy. And it seemed to me that is what Brea believe in. It seems that Brea only believe in promises and lies, because Archie, I am telling you, and they can't tell me different, you know. Because Archie, I told you I was a member of the PNM. I told you so. I told you that I work with Hedgehog Brea. I told you I used to drive Brea at one time. I told you that I was one of the coordinators in that area. So I tell you, I speak the truth and lie not. I know the promises. I said to the people, I used to have to go by the bank on a Thursday and sometimes collect $800, $500 in $5 bill, stacks of money big so. And that money was to give away in Brea. As somebody said, Mr. Bell, give here $5. We hand you $5. And that is what it was. In some cases, I could bring the facts to tell you that in some cases it was said, all the people in Brea need is a drink and they will vote. That is facts, Archie. And Brea knows that. Brea know what I'm saying here is the truth. Because I don't afraid to talk the truth. Brea have been fooled, mama guy, papi show, by the politicians. And yet to the end of the day, they will never stand up and say, look, we have had enough. Let us give one of our own the chance, and let us give another party the chance. And that party is the opposition. Let us give the UNC a chance in Brea. We have failed for 50 years in Brea. So, if we give the UNC a chance, is two things will happen. Either or. You remain just where you are, or Brea benefit. Nothing else can happen. Nothing else can happen. It's either you remain where you are, or Brea benefit. If you remain where you are, you ain't lost nothing, because you got some voting and losing your vote by ain't getting nothing. So you ain't lost nothing. But if Brea benefit, I tell the people of Brea, give me a chance in Brea, and I will never have to campaign again. They don't understand the mathematics. Archie, give me a chance in Brea, and Victor Roberts will never have to go campaigning again. I ain't have to go and tell nobody, hey, I want your support, come and vote for me. I don't have to do that again. Action will always speak louder than those words. And that is why the PNM, every election, had to pay and mobilize people and try to change a candidate and try to blame the former candidate for the negligence, for the lack of performance. That is the strategy. Bring our next candidate and tell them this candidate will do better. And they vote for that. Give me a chance in Brea. I don't want to walk and knock nobody down and say, I ask you to support me, I'll come back again. Boy, action will beat old talk all the time. And that is what Kamla Prasad Bisesa did in 2010 and 2015. Action beat all talk. Actually, me and somebody else who visited some sites.
Yes.
And some of the things we see, it was shocking to me.
Yes, that is correct.
I didn't even know those things exist. And then you was showing me a further plan with what was going to happen in Cuba. What was going alongside the Children's Hospital. You were showing me some plans. What was going to happen with the university that was setting up in Debe. How it was going to work for the country. How the country would have benefit. These is things, Archie, that I didn't know. I had no idea. And when I saw those things, it convinced and convict me more that the way to go is with the party who will deliver to the people of the country. Don't get me wrong, and I ain't fooling myself. I am not saying tonight, by no uncertain terms, that the UNC didn't make mistakes, I am not saying that. To say that is to make you and to make myself a liar, because there is nothing that is perfect in this world, including human beings. But you know what was outstanding to me? Every time, and in some case, actually, I think it was overdone. Every time any allegation came up against any sitting member, I remember Kamla saying, go, clear, and come. If I'm wrong, tell me I'm wrong. Go clear yourself and come back. That was Kamla Prasad Bisesa policy. So to the end of the day, the PNM policy is not go, clear, and come. The PNM policy is, I stand by my ministers. That's the policy of the PNM. 1 million allegation, and Rowley will stand up and say, I stand by the ministers. Welcome, Kola.
Yes, good night. This is Silver Fox in the house.
Hey, Fox happening?
Yes, man. Fox is back. Fox is back.
Yes, man.
Yes.
Well, Fox, we back too, not you alone. We back too.
Well, I'm back to full capacity. I am here again. I am back again.
Good.
I was in the wilderness doing some soul searching. Now I get out of it.
Beautiful.
Yes, man. I wish, Robbie, that Miss Kamala could send you to Tobago to campaign. I wish she could send you to campaign in Tobago for Tobago West against Sanford Kojo. We need other fighters. Instead of 2 parties, we need 3. You see, you just can't be choosing from 2, because you jump to one and the next one treating it just like the fourth one that you let go. Right? I was a staunch PNM. I just voted in internal election, and I give up that to vote to deal with PDP, to support PDP. And I am disappointed. I am very much disappointed. Right? I am disappointed with what is going on. Because only a certain set of people is getting work. It's only the Adventist people in Tobago is getting work here. People on board, people working in government and on board for kind of $20,000. What the other children that home that do cape and vote for you? Is the young people come out in real and vote for these people, Robbie? Robbie, I want you to come to Tobago to fight. Robbie, you don't have to pay for place to stay. You're staying home at me. Tell Miss Kamala that. You have a house in Tobago. You have a house in Tobago. You have a home. Something I noticed in life, Robbie. You could change a man's clothes, carry him to bed, put on perfume on him, but deep inside he's the same man because inside didn't clean. Inside didn't clean, Robbie. We in Tobago, yeah, we are suffering. We are suffering. I am telling you this. In this house, it has no breadwinner again. The breadwinner died recently, and I call on them, I ask the PDP for help. And no.
Sorry there, Fox. We cut you off by mistake. You could probably call back.
Do apologize. Fox, call back. We cut you off by mistake. Call back. What happened? Other calls coming in, so you got to just pause that call and we cut you off. So call back, Fox. And before you call back, Fox, I will tell you, anyway the leader sent me. Hello? Fox, try again. Anyway the leader of this party sent Victor Roberts, Fox is there going. Anyway, it matters not Tobago. It doesn't matter. Welcome, Gola.
Good night again. Happy Independence to you and all the listeners again.
Yeah.
I want to talk about failing policies. Victor, you know when they tell somebody they went to school in August, what they mean? That is, you become the laughing stock of the school, right? If you're your partner and tell them, hey, you went to school in August, it's tantamount to being a dancing. What is the PNM policy with respect to education? And they're sending back everybody to school in August. So instead of we move forward with the PNM, we're moving backwards, and that is what they want to celebrate. All the children going to school, and I see they have more. They want to remove SCA now. They want to have exams every 2 years now. I hear they want to bring back CAC, the continuous component for SCA students. This government lost several years of progress, where the PP government establishes certain programs to move this country forward, which were visionary. Look, for example, the Children's Hospital, the Children's Hospital, they changed the name, they're so bad mind. How much people, I hear in some news clipping, Rowley say stay on as leader at the PNM to fight COVID. So is he responsible for 4,139 deaths? That is what he do. Look at population of Guyana, which is 800,000, 3/4 of us. They only have 1,239. We getting 4 or 5 deaths. Them getting 1 death today, 1 next week, and things like that. So what that tells you, and you know the other startling thing, I see he went and meet the Prime Minister from Jamaica. You know when this fella come from Guyana, the president, he didn't go and meet him. So I ain't saying nothing, but only watch and see how the recalcitrant minority continues with the PNM. They have a cult. And I ain't going to say pedophile national movement. That is another cult. And another thing to display on little children, because I've seen little children all over the place, and here around them are going to have a nice night.
Right, thanks, Scholar. But let's just focus on something. Let's focus on something. Where are we going as a country? Where are we heading? This is something that all right-thinking citizens ought to ask themselves. Welcome, Kola. Kola, welcome.
Yes, sir. Fox, what can you help?
Yeah, Fox, we apologize. We cut you off by mistake.
Yes, man. Victor, the problem we going through in Trinidad and Tobago right now, we are the problem. We, the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago, is the problem. We going through hardship, and we are accepting it because it's a black man giving us it. What is wrong with us? What is wrong with us? We in Tobago, we vote for a change. We vote for change, right? I don't know what is going on. I send in a flat, I suffering. I suffering. I put money in people's pocket by voting for them. My mother couldn't even sit to vote. She couldn't even sit to vote, Victor. She takes her grandson and carry him to vote for PDP. And she dead today, and she grandson still home begging for help to get her work. Just imagine that. This is the love. These are the people who say they are godly. They are godly and they are not helping. They are not helping. We need help, Victor. Miss Kamala, think over, think again. Miss Kamala, send people to Tobago to get election. You can win. You can win. If the people of Tobago want choice. They want choice. We want choice. We want help. Miss Kamala, we want help. Oh God, we want help, Miss Kamala. Think it over, please. Thank you tonight.
Boy, welcome, folks. Well said, well said. And that is one of the problem, Archie. Why I am saying I am not going to make promises to people. I am not going to make promises to people, because I remember very well some of the promises that I heard coming even out of Tobago. Not only in Brea, I heard promises left, right, and center. And to the end of the day, Fox made a very interesting point when he said that people taking what is happening because, in my view, is a black leader. But is this how politics should be? Is this how we should support a party? Is this how we ought to go to the polls and vote because it's an individual that is of our ethnic background, or an individual who we just like? That is how it is in this country. A man called me recently and he said, look, Mr. Roberts, I want you to help some children to go back to school. Help some children to go back to school. The first visit I made to the bookstore, Archie, I gone in shock. I seen textbook for $600. I seen textbook for $400. I seen textbook for all kind of money.
Wait. Last night, while listening to the UNC's Monday night forum, I heard the leader spoke about she having given out e-books free. So you trying to tell me we going back and paying $600 for a book?
Brother, let me tell you something. A man sent 2 booklets on my phone here asking for help. When I look at the first book list, I done clock $2,800. The first book list for a Form 4 student. The man have a disability. Let me tell you something. I remember, as you rightly said, e-books was available. People was benefiting. I know it had grants. It had grants available. Today, grant gone. Where that man down by way, may God rest his soul, name Mr. Grant, well, he gone too. He gone too. But grant gone. Who would have benefited from these book grants? Who would have benefited from all these various programs? It was the same children, your children, my children, African children, East Indian children, Chinese children, 1%, everybody. It was across the board. Today, the same man that Fox speaks of cut everything out. I hear the leader begging, please, Rowley, please assist the children with a one-time uniform grant. Just one-time uniform. Let me tell you something. We in this country,
Let us say Rowley rarely do that. What you estimate to be the cost? Let's say he's going to give every child a one-time uniform grant. What sort of cost you think that might be so?
I think that a one-time uniform grant in this country. Let me take this call first. Welcome, caller.
Actually,
Welcome, caller.
Okay, I think that was a call that was coming in for another program that's supposed to start on the UNC's
Okay.
network. Yeah.
That program starting at 8.
Yes. 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 So you estimate this one-time uniform grant to be about how much money?
So let's say this one-time uniform grant might cost this country about $25 million.
So much money?
Yeah, overall, across the board. Let's just put a figure to it.
Okay, I didn't know it would be so much, but anyway.
No, I'm not saying so much, I just put a big figure. And I know why I put the big figure.
But you think, recently we heard that they have some sort of celebration, some independence celebration. You think a better independence gift would have been to do the uniform grant?
Welcome, caller.
We lost that caller.
And that is the point I'm making. I said $25 million. And I put $25 million to ask the question, if $25 million is too much money to have all our children back in school. If $25 million is too much money to have all our children back in school. You see, there is no price tag to education.
Yeah, I think you're about correct. You're about correct. I just work it out. It should be about 25 million, and I've been very generous, giving people shoe and everything, a complete uniform. It should be about 25 million.
Right. But is it too much to have all our children back in school? Is it too much? And I'm going somewhere. Is it too much to bring back this textbooks grant so our children could afford to be equipped in a classroom? Is it too much to extend the school feeding program so that all our children could be very well fed, nourished, to sit down and take those hours of education? Is it too much?
Do you have a cost of how much it takes to send up all those fireworks in Port of Spain and San Fernando?
At one time, I heard it cost something like about $2 million a couple of years ago for that exercise. I am certain it is more now. But is it too much? Now, here we are going. We have government ministers who just walking out the cabinet and benefiting $100 million. Just walk out to recuse and walk back in. And as they walk back in, another activity comes up where them is a beneficiary, and they walk back out.
Well, it is alleged that somebody is collecting about $25 million in rent. You think that it might be useful for this person to make a 1 year sacrifice for the benefit of all the children in the country?
And this is the kind of governance I'm speaking about. I remember Kamla Prasad Bisesa, the man from MPs and senators, part of the salary to go into the children's life fund where they could save a child life in this country.
So you're trying to say every month a UNC MP used to donate 10% of their salary
In that fund, inside of that fund to help a child. Inside of that fund, this government will not donate 1 cent. Not a back cent. And yet people love them. So it seems as though that the people prefer to operate under a pharaoh than to operate under someone who served them. They just walk out of the cabinet, money, walk back in, money, walk out, money, and we have our children, over 50% or thereabout, could not make a grade, and we want to blame the children and the parents. Don't blame the children and the parents, blame the government.
But could it be a very novel tactic on the part of the government by not giving the uniform grant so that the children them can't go back to school so they could reduce the amount of fights in school?
Well, I think it's much more than just trying to control fights. It is also ensuring that the profit goes into some minister pocket. Because let me be fair. We had a laptop program. Forget the pandemic, right? I don't want to use the pandemic to say that the children would have benefit with the laptop because of the pandemic. I'm not going there. We had a laptop program, and this laptop program, Keith Rowley government tell us that it was corruption inside there. All right. But Keith Rowley government tell us it was corruption inside of the social welfare also. Remember that? He said there was corruption inside of the whole welfare, social welfare issue, and they had to stop it and clean it up. And when they stop it and they clean it up, we come back again and hear Donna Cox saying mass corruption inside the same unit, under the same government, under the PNM. Now listen, if this government had any caring attitude towards our children, not only, as he said, there was corruption inside there, they would have cleaned up the laptop program according to them and bring it back. But to the end of the day, the world know that the world was moving into the computer age. The world know that. So forget the pandemic. The world know that the computer age is what we were introducing since we spoke of 2020 vision and whatnot. So how could a prime minister cut out a program that would have bring the children of this country to compete on the world stage, making themselves marketable? Cut it out, destroy it, and with it, destroy the book grants, and with it, reduce the school feeding program. I am seeing a plan by this government. Welcome, caller.
Hello, good night, my brother.
Good night, sir. Go ahead.
Good night, my brother.
Good night.
Victor, I wrote this a while back. the level of success in a society is a measure of the comfort of the most vulnerable citizens, not the most affluent, as we like to think. Mr. Bernie Sanders said it sometime about a year ago. Our government that we have since 2015 has done everything to affect the most vulnerable. We had the laptop program that you were just speaking about. Who can afford laptops? Only the rich. Kamala made it possible for the poor to have laptops so that they can get with technology, so that they could have school books online. They could have access to school and work. It would have helped immensely during the pandemic. But we had children left back. They're now talking about having a SDA exam in Form 2. Are they crazy? What are they talking about? Humiliating the children to have exams, to do a SDA exam that serves no purpose if they're already in secondary school? They removed VAT on basic food items, medicines. Who are affected by that? Not the poor and vulnerable. They are now persecuting the scrap iron dealers. I agree, some of them were doing wrong things and stealing cables. But they are the poor and vulnerable. They are the people without jobs. The PNM government did everything to destroy the poor and vulnerable in this country. You agree?
Of course, Kuala, I agree 100%.
I heard you talking earlier about Labray. The people in Labray have been voting PNM for their entire life, for the last 66 years, since 1956 till now. Labray was won by the opposition forces how many times? Once?
Yeah, 86.
In 1986. It's the only time in history how has Labray benefited from 60 years of PNM? How have they benefited? They have the seventh wonder of the world there, the pitch lake. We have the largest pitch lake in the world, and Labray never benefited from it. They are suffering from it right now because they closed Petrotrin and we don't have bitumen to process pitch, to sell asphalt to make money. How have we benefited from that natural resource that we are one of a kind in the world? We haven't. How have Labray benefited from the PNM for 60 years? The people of Labray need to open their eyes and look and see who benefited. Labray, you have Point Door, you have Labray, you have Sobo, you had oil fields down in Guapo, in Palo Seco. Those people need to understand oil was taken out of the ground. Did they benefit from that oil? Who benefited from the oil? Tobago, the Prime Minister was boasting for the Tobago THA election that $7.5 billion are spent annually in Tobago. Tobago is just two constituencies, approximately 55 to 60,000 citizens. 60,000 citizens are getting $7.5 billion annually from the Treasury. How much is Labray and Point Fortin getting? Are they getting $7.5 billion too? Did they get two boats to come down there to move people from Point Fortin to Port of Spain? They didn't. Did they get one bus? One bus to move people from Labray and Point Fortin to Port of Spain? They didn't get anything like that. So why is there this disparity in the distribution of resources in this country? Why certain constituencies benefit and others not?
Yeah.
We need to look at this. And the people, it's not about African and Indian and UNC and PNM. It's about equitable distribution of resources in Trinidad and Tobago for all the electorate, for all the people. That is how government is supposed to run. That is what democracy is about.
Right.
I don't want to take up all your program talking, because if I go on, I'll be talking for the rest of the night.
Well, we appreciate your contribution very much. And I hope the people of Labre listen to what you said here this afternoon, and I hope that the people of Labre will use wisdom going forward and ensure that Labre benefit from the wealth that Labre produce in this country. So thank you very much for your caller.
Thank you, my brother.
Blessings.
Yeah, you know what I just remember? You had children in secondary school, your big daughter. Did they used to
And my
get
son.
free textbooks under the Kamla Prasad regime? They used to receive all the textbooks in the school. What happened to that program?
Well, brother,
Because you telling me about books costing $500, $600.
yes, sir. Yes,
Other
sir.
people don't have that money. Remember the lady who gone in the grocery and want to shoot and kill people because she can't afford to buy flour?
The flour, yeah.
Oh, you gonna buy a $500 book? That ain't happening. That's why they fighting.
Brother, I am forced to say tonight, like some people in this country just don't have a brain. I forced to say that tonight. Because I cannot see. Welcome, caller.
Good night, Archie. Good night, Mr. Robert, Trinidad and Tobago.
Good night.
Good night, Canada.
No, this is not Canada.
It sounds like
Okay.
Canada, why? Go ahead.
Right now, I'm in the tropics. Yeah. So, Mr. Archie,
Right, I know who are talking.
Good
I know who
night.
talking now.
right. Mr. Archie, Stuart Young just say, right, just the other day, Stuart Young say that how much less gas bill.
Yes,
India
I'm going for
peg the budget on $3.75 for gas, right? And we will be happy. Now gas is $9 and change. After $500 billion, we still begging for school books. But you see, when you support an entity that use the slave master model and put a constitution to whip you, that to keep you in check and balance, this is what they're reaping today. Because if I give $25 million, how could I pay $250 million to buy a CSTT entity from Marcy Boy? That will only be 225. So when they could keep the money and put it in the best use and not the people, because the slave master attitude is still existing. Because they keep the identity of the African diaspora. They tell them, and the Mamagai and all talk, and check all the constituencies where the PNM for 60 years now, matters not, for 60 years, they dilapidated and they're not uplifted, and hoodwinking and Mamagai and all talk. This was let's get them through. And reality is coming home now, Mr. Robert, and they talk about it, because they won't let the children suffer. But who let the children suffer is the parents, because they choose. And now the local election is in the air. They're coming out to try to do a quick fix. And here he's talking now that he wants to leave because the eternal election calls for leadership. So I want to see the same set of people who are outside. They went and opened, and I went for Dr. Eric Williams. But the only ministers decided, like, I went out with after and I saw a doctrine session, because every time he talks something, everybody comes, give him. And they profit them up. With what? And they're not putting things where is more vulnerable. And he was talking about the school books. Children cannot just go to school. They get 3 square meals. They get the books. They get the IT. The computer lab, school, everything. To do all the work. And they guarantee a job when they come out of school. Look what we do at the show, that they don't care. And this is reality. So when they're talking about money, where they can get the money from, tell them go and ask Shell because then they sign an agreement to share for only 150,000 years for education. Have a nice night.
And at the same memorial, Kola, I remember that Keith Rowley spoke at that Eric Williams memorial that the African people in this country behind.
Yeah.
But all I have seen so far is that he sent them further behind.
Exactly. So that was he thieved the identity, the PNM entity thieved the identity because they did not put the African diaspora to empower them. So they used the old slave master model because the slave master never wanted, and the slave owners never wanted the slave to have a good meal. They always keep them undernourished so they can keep them down, so they can rebel. It's going to change there who stand up and tell them that he is not taken anymore. And it's plain to see it's a black diaspora, a black party, and it came from there's the aberration and the demolition of the hierarchy of which the continent own this continent and this Caribbean chain of islands. And they was milking the African diaspora. And Eric Williams capitalized on it by keeping them, look a little dollar, I try to talk, look a little dollar. You telling me for 60 years. Look at the education system. The other Prasad Bishesa, who came and revolutionized the education system in this country to make it affordable for everybody across the board. And when you finish a school and university, you had a job you could get into. Doctors, nurses, when not you hear that they are trainees, when not you hear that they fund, the people balling for the money and they're bullying them. And therefore, only when the PLM know the black people is when election time come, they take that right. And it's on and on. Look at the housing system on the east-west corridor. They get it. It's water here, so this, and they're neglecting them, flooding what? And because of all the entity and the friends and family and the diaspora still suffering. So that's saying it's coming to roots. Have a nice day, Mr. Robert.
Thank you, Kola. And that is the sad reality where we are at this point in time. So to the end of the day, ladies and gentlemen, you have to understand that this is a group of individuals who you put at the helm of things in your country. And to the end of the day, they move in the country, they move in the country, you don't feel the country moving, but I assure you that the country continue to go backwards at a very, very high speed. And who knows where would we end? And again I'm saying, welcome, Kola.
Yes, Silver Fox Market side.
Yeah, Foxy.
No, you believe, think for yourself. The PNM don't want the school system to change, Them don't care about the school children, What they want them to be done, that they could brainwash them and make them a fool for them to be voting for election,
Correct.
They want them for election reason. But we the citizens, we know this, we know the solution, we know everything. We could talk from now till never ready. If we don't get up and stop keep Christopher Rowley in his tracks, this could keep continue going on. The people of Trinidad and Tobago, they fold their arms and put their finger on their lips and they stop talk. And they're frightened to move their finger from the lips because he said, Master Rowley said, keep it on your lips. Thank you.
Thank you, Fox. And there's a book that, the name of the book is The Making of a Slave by Willie Lynch. And I often refer to that book. I often refer to that book as the PNM guideline. The Making of a Slave by Willie Lynch. When you look and you get into the facts of that book, you will understand that it's the same playbook that the PNM is using. It is a book that the PNM is using to keep its supporters where they are. Welcome, Kola.
Well,
welcome, Kola.
Yeah, good night. This is about the program. It's about working on Dougla politics. It's about 2 months now. Hello?
Anil, as I said to the beginning of the program, Anil was supposed to be here tomorrow, but right now he having a little medical condition right now with his asthma. So God's willing, he'll be here on Saturday once that is under control.
Yes, about 2 months now we're gonna do one. Try like that. Yeah, all right, yeah. I mean, it's try you to look at, but so much. So, all right, thanks, sir.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you. Welcome, caller. Welcome, caller.
Sir, I actually live in Florida. More or less, I'm a Trini, right?
Right.
And it hurts me so much to see that when so much of food is being thrown away to the garbage in America. And in Trinidad, where my neighbor's tree is being buried, it hurts me to see that so much of food that people need over here and they can't get it because of this government, man. And I want to big up Mr. Victor Robert for being a really strong guy. I saw him when he went into that place where they went to deliver the pedophile ring stuff. This guy, if it was me, I wouldn't take the chance to go in, but this guy really have belly, man. I congratulate him so much. And he is so strong, man. We need people like him in Trinidad. You know, and I'm so sorry for the kids who have to go to school now and have to be begging and oh my God for books on the people who have and stuff like that. I'm really sorry, man. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. But big up to you guys. You guys doing a great job, man. Have a good night.
Thank you, caller. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you too. Let me hear me.
Wow. Sad, 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 sad. Welcome, caller.
Thank you very much. Hey, Victor.
Yes, caller, welcome.
Hi, good night. Yes, this is my son, Texas.
Welcome
hear
to the
me?
program.
Okay, this is my first time calling. Victor, know me?
All right, go ahead, caller. I didn't record your voice yet, but go ahead.
I want to make a little comment. Don't let nobody talk that long on your program, and they are not the moderator. Cut them off, give them 2 minutes and cut them off.
All right, I will give them 3 minutes.
Yeah, the 3 minutes is too long. Make your point and get them off. Yeah, you don't let people stay there for half an hour. No, don't do that.
All right, caller,
Okay.
we'll fix that.
All right, thanks.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, so we are at, we are at a real sad place, because I am saying that come next week, Monday, there is a number of children who will not be able to enter back into the school system because they would not and cannot have the necessary to attend classes. Parents suffering, and I mean literally suffering. I doesn't even want to say that here. I doesn't even want to say it here. You know. Actually, I doesn't want to say it here. But look, someone called me, Archie, and asked me to prepare some hampers. And they specifically state that they want those hampers to reach out to those people who cannot afford. Now, when I hear that, you will automatically believe that you have to give everybody a hamper, because it seems like nobody could afford. That's what it seems like nobody could afford right now. And to the end of the day, while this hamper will just be a one-off in terms of the needs of people, Archie, because I no longer could provide hampers off of my own to give people, you know, Archie. I can't provide hampers like how I used to do before. You understand? Out of my pocket and assist people. Now I had to depend on somebody to call me and say, look, Roberts, look, come here, I'm willing to give you 25 hamper, I'm willing to give you 50 hamper, and I want you to, and yet still
the waiting going, you might have to keep a hamper for yourself.
But I had to keep a hamper for myself. I had to keep a hamper for myself. That waiting reach. That's where it reach, Archie. And yet still, I might very well get some enemies, you know. I might get some enemies because X might get and Y ain't get, and Y vex because X get, and Y believe that they more need than X, and X believe that they, and I might fully well get some enemies. But to the end of the day, I had to get down. I had to really get down and really analyze to see who I could hand one of these bags, because everybody in need.
So you trying to tell me, come around election time, you just need to give a man a hamper. The PNM just have to do so now and give the people a hamper, and that is the vote.
But the people and them will vote for less than a hamper. Labre get nothing. Labre gets nothing and they still vote PNM. Labre tell you that they don't even know Macrache. They don't even know Macrache, but they vote for Macrache. Welcome, caller.
Good night, Comrade. Good night, Archie.
Good night, good night.
Mr. Roberts.
Yes, sir.
When Petrotron was running, right, and operating, the frontline people, right or wrong, used to go and get a real casual work, and they used to create jobs and get employment to help with the school books. The PNM tell them that here what's going on is only the sophisticated will be educated, and the supporters, the CPEP and the URP will be the dependents. So all they come and vote for me and keep me in power. But what I noticed today, they open a library for the first Prime Minister, right? But you can see, just imagine a Prime Minister in the PNM, Chief Christopher Rory. He don't know the history, he don't know nothing about Eric Williams, and he couldn't even talk to present the party in. So that's to tell you, he's just a puppet on a string. And he don't really care, because just imagine, that is their entity. And he don't know how to present himself. They think he can present things to the supporters and know what the supporters want. So they are greedy people, and they don't care and really for the vulnerable. All the set of things, like the NGC deals, they're talking about agriculture, but yet still fertilizer is so expensive. Nobody has nothing to go through to help themselves. And now the action for the wealth of this country to trickle down to them, people them, you just turn a deaf ears to them.
Thank you, caller.
Nice night. Huh?
Thank you, caller. 2 minutes.
Yes.
A caller warn me, I can call back. A caller warn me, I ain't taking no more warning for the night. 2 minutes. And caller, you're right. You think we only care about history of party, you only care about history of Eric Williams? We only care about that. If you're my Prime Minister, who will care about people who live in? If you go care about people who dead, let me get real, man. Let me keep it real. people are in so much trouble with this reopening at the school that it isn't funny. And the fact remains is how much people could give, because even those, I am telling you, some of the people who give in, really give in because they commit to give to assist somebody else. But the people who really have, you think them care about giving? You feel them going to give out what they have? Them don't care about you. Them don't care about you. And until people in this country start to care about themselves, and until people in this country start to care about good governance, is until people will remain voting for the PNM. I often tell people that we must ensure good governance when the UNC in office, when the PNM in office, when anybody in office. Good governance must be something that the people of the country demand. And if you in demanding good governance and you feel that you want to support, I just feel sorry for the people who are just here clapping when Rowley talk. The people who will be clapping when Rowley talk, I just feel sorry for them. Real sorry. Because it seems as though these people just doesn't have a brain to clap when Rowley talk. Because the littlest child in this country could understand when a big man talking rubbish from when a big man lying. And you just get the both from that prime minister. The both aspect you just get. Rubbish and lie. I hear Rowley stand up and speak and talk about people who stupid, saying that he wasn't closing down Petro train and he closed it down. He never closed down Petro train. He just get out of the refining business. And you know what? You believe people will clap when that man don't talk? We ain't close down Petro train. We just get out of the refining business. And those who went home with how much? 2 point whatever billion dollars. And they will clap for that stupidity. They will clap for that rubbish that Rowley talk. So they ain't close down Petro train. They get out of the refining business. So then it's only the people from the refinery went home. Nobody else from Petro train went home. Was just the refinery personnels, just they are the ones that went home. I want to know if all in this country really dotish, or if all just stupid to listen and to clap when Rowley talk that pack of hogwash. They fire everybody in Petro train. From the security come back. The watchman, no one forget, they were working in the refinery. Every gauger, they were working in the refinery. Every production supervisor, they were in the refinery. Every transport operator, them was in the refinery too. Those who work in project, them was in the refinery too. So he telling you a couple days ago, they never closed down Petro train. They only get out of the refinery business. But to the end of the day, they fire every single worker in Petro train. Every worker. And a bunch of idiots clapping when this man talk that whole drama number 2. They clapping for that. So you think you only care about history of Robert Williams? You only care about that? If you only care about all you, if you only care about all the life and all the livelihood, you only have time to care about anything else? And yet to the end of the day, all is still standing up and vote. All is still standing up and clap. A matter of fact, all is still going in them meeting, like all getting paid to go. I salute every UNC councillor who did not attend that dotishness that we already talk about consultation in relation to reform. I salute every councillor who did not attend that. And everybody who does not attend when we already call a meeting, conversation with Prime Minister and conversation with who? Where the Prime Minister is? Conversation with who Prime Minister? What we have there now, they are Prime Minister? A man who degrade, decimate, insult, brutalize in every form and fashion. Every time he stand up to speak, insult people, brutalize them to the lowest form. That is our Prime Minister? That is what they're going to clap for? A man will stand up and lie blatantly in all the face. That is what they're clapping for? Well, all they can't be serious in this country. Or they could never be serious in this country. Support what? That? You watch how this man does conduct himself. You watch how this man does operate. That man say what he want, what he feel, where he think. He does talk when he think. When he think, he can't talk. When he think, that time he talk. So every time he talk, when he think, you know what coming out his mouth. Think less rubbish. And a bunch of people clapping. Plap, 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 plap. Hey! All the clapping. All the lives going down the drain, but all the clapping. Wean off the government, all the clapping. Take away all the work, all the clapping. Send home watching TSTT, all the clapping. Was on the chopping block, all the clapping. How much firms in Point Lisas gone down the drain, all the clapping. Everybody migrating, all the clapping. Crime on the rise, all the crime out of control. We have a sleeping idiot for our Minister of National Security. An idiot who's sleeping in the parliament with his mouth open. Had no clue as to what to do. But you have a Prime Minister telling you now that we're going to share information with Jamaica. And we sign a memorandum of understanding to deal with the guns that coming in from America. The rifles and the handguns. We sign and we're going to share information. And Jamaica had the same problem that we have. So we're in the same boat. And only supporting that idiot. The Minister of National Security haven't got a clue. He say he work is not to protect all you. Point blank. He say he work is not to protect all you. He more interested in high grades. The Minister of National Security more interested in high grades. Coming first in class. He want to be on top of the class. That he's studying so much that he had to sleep in the parliament when he's supposed to be discussing all the business. Too much high grades. He want a doctorate, I believe. So he's sleeping, he bepping. He like a fowl when it a pip. He bepping steady.
Hey, you can't talk that man too much, you know. Alan Karim just tell me that he having the Coast Guard vessels on the Independence Parade in the square tomorrow, you know.
He's supposed to be the popular on the Coast Guard vessel. That is what they should make he, the popular, pulling the back to spin, because that is what he doing in this country. Spinning all around like a bunch of idiots. Can't protect all you, can't protect the borders, cannot protect domestically, cannot protect you, the citizens. You ought to be living like you're in jail. It's burglar proof. What I am selling like madness. Everybody making burglar proof. Double burglar proof. Burglar proof outside the window. Burglar proof inside the window. Burglar proof outside the door. Burglar proof inside the door. Every room in the house burglar proof. But he living with special badge. Oops, let me don't call that word too much. Let me don't call that word too much. He living with security. The other on the whole of justice step. He walking from right by the Ministry of National Security to the Parliament. He have about 6 of them. Dark shades. Pulling the trolley briefcase. He jacket hanging. A man say, Minister, look at jacket on the ground. I saw your dog didn't poop somewhere close by. Because that is what you get from Minister of National Security, dog poop. That is what you're getting. But are you supporting that? All kind of things you're going to have on display. And if, you know what I want to do? While the boat's on display, let him crank it. Let him crank the engine. But are you supporting that?
The boats on display in the Queen's Park Savannah?
Well, that's the best place for it to run in the Queen's Park Savannah, because at the end of the day, that's the only space the boat could go to carry it. It had to go on a trolley, you know, a trailer had to take it there when they in the sea.
It moving from the sea straight there. I hear the lagoon over the city. So the boats them sailing all the way.
Oh, it had to come through the floods. It had to come through the floods. Because they can't drive a trailer in the sea, you know. They can't put the boat on a trailer there. But they could bring it on a trailer from down Stowers Bay or wherever they want to bring it from to Zest. But in the sea, pirate killing the citizens, throwing them overboard, taking the engine, taking the catch, and going away. But we are Coast Guard boats on display. Boy Hines. Hines, all good, yes? All really good, but you didn't answer my question yet, you know, Hines. You didn't answer my question yet, and I'm asking it again tonight. I ask you, did your wife give out government vouchers to a church in Santa Flora and other religious members during the COVID-19 pandemic? That's my question. By whose authority? By whose authority? If she gave out, was it you that gave her your vouchers? I don't know why I'm asking. Was it you, Hines? If she did, how she get those vouchers? She work in ministry, she's done a cook's assistant. And why you answer that question, you know? Don't feel it will go away, it ain't going away. It ain't going away. But if you know, I want an election to call. I want an election to call so bad. I want to see in this country, I really want to see in this country, if corruption is a part of the criteria to run this country. My position is very strong, you know. My position is so strong that I wouldn't even believe it's strong. I am saying, going forward, that any and every politician who gets involved with corruption must not be asked to resign. They must be put before the courts and face the jail as everybody else. And while I on that, because I see my time going,
like people in the valley,
on the hills too, plenty of them living on the hills in Maraval, you know. I am saying tonight that corrupted politicians must not ask to resign. They must face the court and face the prison. Anyone, everyone who choose to get involved in corruption. And let me tell you this. I want to ask Hines if the prison would be privatized. And if amalgamated security would be given the option to run the prison, that is a question I am asking here tonight. Welcome, caller.
Good afternoon, good night, Mr. Roberts.
Good day, good day, good day.
But that charge you're talking about these politicians, it should be nothing less than treason. And why I'm saying treason is because treason carries a death penalty. So I don't want them in prison. I want them to be able to explain the wealth because they have legislation for that. We know they can't explain the wealth, and they're being charged for treason because they take an oath of office and they face the maximum penalty, which is only one outcome. The Privy Council can't help them. So that is the only solution for corrupt politicians. Treason, explain your wealth. So we will have to take back all the ill-gotten gains. So you walk out a cabinet for 5 minutes and come back a multi-billionaire. You could explain that really? Anybody could explain that? We have no common sense. I see them march a set of young children around the savannah today with placards talking about proud patriots and kind of thing in red jersey like PNM. And I want somebody to ask them children about where the laptop is, where the special funding for book grant, where the gate gone, where the school feeding program gone, what condition the schools are in. These people have no decency. These politicians have absolutely no decency and deserve no less than to be charged for treason. And all of those people supporting them, we should find a way to get them tied up in it too, because they obviously benefited, they benefited. And as always say, Joel Shady reclused himself from the murder scene, but faced the gallows. Did he not? Thank you, Mr. Robert.
Thank you, caller. So as we wrap up here this afternoon, I want to tell you, callers, I want to tell you, Trinidad and Tobago, that we as a country would continue to fall apart until all of us get serious in this country and demand what the Constitution states. Work across the board for Tom, Harry, and Dick. I know I like Tom, Dick, and Harry, but I will tell you why I say Tom, Harry, and Dick. Because so far in this country, we realize that the laws of this country, it work for Dick alone. Welcome, caller.
Good night again, sir.
Yes, sir. Good night.
That last caller who called him in, I think he goes to the top of the class, bro. That guy goes to the top of the class. Best night again.
Very well. Thank you, brother. So, folks, here's where we'll have to leave it for tonight. As I said, Anel Roberts is not well at this time. So tomorrow, Dougla Politics would not be available. Based on his condition, he will make every effort to be here on Saturday. Anil will be here on Wednesdays and Saturdays. The new schedule, I will be here Tuesday and Fridays. So Anil will be here on Wednesday and Saturday conducting Dougla politics. I will be here on a Tuesday and a Friday. So remember the date. Of course, we would be consistent, and we continue to ask you to share around the live as we move forward. I know that we have injured ourselves in terms of a lot of viewers because my phone was wrong the clock. To those of you who trying to get me at this time on the phone, and sometime you may and sometime you may not, this phone failed and I will not be able to get one until Thursday, please God. So until such time, if you don't get me, sometime I see the phone ringing and the screen damaged, so sometimes I swipe and it's just not answering. And sometimes if I do answer and get you, it's not cutting off. So if you don't cut off, your money keep running. So I don't remind anybody, anytime they get you have to cut off the phone, you have to cut off the phone, because I cannot switch it off. The whole bottom section of the phone gone through. Even text message, if I try to text, if I press some of the keys, it calling people, it doing what it wants. So it's in a little mess right now. So hopefully Thursday I'll be able to get a phone and everything should be as normal. So until such time, I ask you to be safe. Enjoy your holiday tomorrow. As I say, for me, there is nothing happy, so I will not echo, because I say what I mean and I mean what I say. So I will not echo the sentiment of happy independence, because from where I sit, I see nothing to be happy about in this country at this point in time. So I'm not going to be deterred, I'm not going to be derailed, I'm not going to be distracted by the $8 million that the government wants to spend tomorrow to tell you that the celebration was great. And while they spend $8 million and tell you great celebration, you cannot spend $800 in your house for food, for books, for uniform, for sneakers, and to send your children back to school. So I see no reason to be happy about anything in this country at this point in time. So until such time, go with God, stay blessed, stay safe, we out.
A code, a mafiosi code. We keep each other's secret. It's only when you break rank, you go there and expose us, and for that, we're going to kill you politically. It's the code of the Cosa Nostra. As long as we stay together, we will survive together. And we agree not to breach the code of secrecy. A code, a mafiosi code. We keep each other's secret. It's only when you break rank, you go there and expose us, and for that, we're going to kill you politically. It's the code of the Cosa Nostra. As long as we stay together, we will survive together. And we agree not to breach the code of secrecy. A code, a mafiosi code. We keep each other.